How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Pixel Tech. This video is going to be a lot longer than usual. However, trust me, it's going to be worth it because there is so much to cover. So without further ado, let's dive into everything you need to know from Apple's WWDC event for 2020. The event started off with iOS 14, with its most radical change being the introduction of better widgets and an app library. Forget the standard clean and organized iOS look. You are now looking at Windows 8. The new widgets promise to be extremely powerful with new customizable features, and all your old widgets will be given more freedom and option. Imagine opening your phone and finding the weather right there. No need to dig for it or swipe left if you use the old widget system. Now, whilst Android has enjoyed some of these widget features for years, it is nice to see that people finally have an alternative option if they want to use iOS. The new app library promises to make people such as myself who have very messy lock screens more organized by putting everything you need to know together as soon as you start swiping right and you go to the end of all of your pages. It will automatically group things such as Apple Arcade, entertainment, social media, so that you don't have to do it yourself with the folders. Personally, I've been using iOS 14 for a few hours now, and this is by far my favorite feature, at least thus far. Picture-in-picture is also coming to the iPhone, something many Android users keep talking about. Although after using it for a bit, I gotta say it's a little overrated. If you want to hear more about my opinions on iOS 14, you should subscribe because a video will be coming soon. Siri is also getting some improvements. Now, when it comes to the aesthetics/UI, she will no longer take the entire page or your screen. She'll be minimized and it'll be a lot cleaner, similar to Google's Assistant. Apparently, she'll also be able to answer 20 times the amount of facts as you previously could. Now, this, I really don't think that like trivia is supposed to be what digital assistants are for, but that's what everybody keeps comparing her against Google Assistant for. So I suppose having more facts and not having her go, this is what I found on the web, will make many people happier. iMessage is also getting some quality of life improvements, allowing you to mention people, which is basically just adding them within the conversation. You can now also link to specific messages that you want to answer within a group chat or a private chat, and most importantly, you'll be able to pin chats that you use more frequently to the top of iMessage so that you can find them a lot easier. Now, this is wonderful because I have about 40,000 spam advert messages within my iMessage. In fact, Apple, this is something you should be working on. All these other features are great, but I can't use iMessage when I have so many ads coming through. Apple Maps is also getting improved, although the fact that the only way they could go is up makes us a little less impressive. It is still nice to see. I mean, if we forget about the past Apple Maps and we look at what it is for today, it does actually seem to be really nice. And in fact, I'd go as far as to say it's probably better than Google Maps, at least if you're living in the right area, which actually now includes Ireland. Why Ireland? I suppose all those tax cuts are finally yielding a return. Perhaps the most interesting introduction is something called Apple Clips, which is basically bite-sized apps, less than 10 megabytes, that you can use on the fly without having to download a dedicated app to your phone. Increasing convenience and discoverability of new apps that you perhaps may have never heard of before. We speculate that these bite-sized apps are going to be integral to Apple's AR glasses and how they can function on the fly. Either way, it'll be added to the almost infinite list of things that seem as if they're only available to people within the US. The last thing I'd like to talk about is Apple's Translate app. I wouldn't think I'd say those words, but they've made a conversation translating app where you can speak and then it speaks it out in a different language, and then the other person can speak and then it speaks it back to you. So it's basically a conversation app for if you're interacting with people who don't speak the same language as you very well. CarPlay is also getting some minor improvements, with your phone being able to act as a digital key. This will allow you to use NFC to basically unlock your car, place it down, start your car and go without needing the physical key that probably came with your car. What's nice about this is you can also share access to the car by just sending an iMessage to somebody so that they can use their phone to use your car. Now on to iPadOS 14. Apple's own apps have become much more integrated and optimized for the larger screen real estate available to all people using modern iPads. Adding in a sidebar for easier navigation and utility, similar to that found in the settings application. They're also minimizing all inconveniences such as call Pause and Siri, which used to take up the full screen. Widgets are also becoming more integrated with iPadOS 14, very similar to how they are with iOS 14. Adding to the cohesiveness, search is going to become much more like Spotlight on macOS, making iPadOS much more powerful. Now hopefully they can start making the Files app closer to that found in Finder on Mac. Apple Pencil is also getting a feature that we see on the Apple Watch called Scribble, where it detects your handwriting and it translates that over into text. Although with my messy handwriting, good luck Apple. They showcase it by having Apple engineer Jenny Chen write Edison Bulb into the Safari search bar. Although I almost guarantee that took more than 3 attempts, because no one writes that slowly and that carefully in real life. I think for the future of Apple Pencil when it comes to writing and stuff, Apple, if you could please improve my handwriting and notes, that would be greatly appreciated. AirPods Pro also becoming much more integrated into the Apple ecosystem, changing their pairing based on your needs and devices. 3D sound is now also coming to AirPods Pro by using both gyroscopes and accelerometers found both within the earbuds and within your iPad, creating a more virtual surround sound experience. Wait, did I watch the PS5 content? WatchOS 7 is next up, bringing in pre-made custom watch faces. These faces can be made by developers to better optimize certain experiences for users if they want to use their particular face with all the features on it, or we can create a community of watch faces. This is kind of like third-party watch faces. Now you're still gonna get Android fanboys bragging about their Samsung Galaxy Gear 2 and how they've had third-party watch faces since the day they got it. You know why they let you customize your watch face over and over again on that side of the fence? It's because it's the only thing you can do. There's no apps. They're also making slight adjustments to the Activities app and renaming it Fitness for whatever reason. I mean, change for the sake of change is not change. With health being an integral part of the Apple Watch, we are getting new features such as wind down. This holistic approach to sleep aims to create a more personalized sleep routine for you so that you can better improve your sleep health. For example, how long you would like to sleep for, when you would like to sleep, what time you want to wake up, all of that stuff. It makes your phone more calm and dim and changes your watch over to sleep mode. For those who use the Apple Watch as an alarm clock, this will be greatly appreciated. Now you don't have to stare at the sight of 1,000 burning suns when you just wanted to check what the time was. Lastly, for the Apple Watch, keeping up with the times and the whole health theme, and the whole current situation going on at the moment, they now have hand washing detection, making sure you apply to international recommendations of 20 seconds when washing your hands. tvOS 14 is getting some minor updates, with the main ones being picture-in-picture, 4K AirPlay support, and better HomeKit integration. In fact, speaking of HomeKit, you can now have face recognition with your cameras at the door. This is actually quite cool. At least I think so. Man, all this talking has really made me hungry. Yeah, can I please get the Big Mac, sir? New macOS 11 is getting a design revamp with more rounded corners, translucency, and shading. Notifications and widgets seems as if they're going to be coming a lot nicer, seen as the fact that we look to be borrowing them from both iOS and iPadOS. So this is going to create a more cohesive lineup between all of Apple's products. Safari is also getting more privacy improvements, allowing for greater tracking blockers than before. Supposedly they are increasing the catalog of browser extensions and making them more secure than the competition. Wallpapers can also now be added, making it very Edge reminiscent. They're also adding more quality of life improvements such as tab previews and real-time translation within websites. Now when it comes to Macs, let's not forget about the big elephants in the room. Yes, Apple is switching over to ARM based processors. This means they shall be using their own in-house silicon, and we should be seeing it appear on the first Macs by the end of the year. Apple has long since had great experience and scalability with their processors, with the introduction of the A4 processor in the first generation iPad, pushing mind-numbing performance whilst ensuring efficient power consumption and thermal management. We have seen the impressive performance of the iPad Pros consistently beating out MacBook Airs with Intel processors in almost every metric. We now await a 2-year period as developers start optimizing their programs for Apple's ARM based processors, and eventually we may not see Intel because Apple's going to have to start flushing out all of their old lineups. Does this mean we're going to eventually see it on their highest end Mac Pros? Perhaps. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you happen to learn something, please do drop a like down below. But most importantly, let me know your comments in the description. What was your favorite part about WWDC 20? And do you think I missed anything that I should have covered? And with that, this is Pixel Tech signing out.